Well, it looks like we're underway. This is after John's. If you followed the other video this morning, went over to John's and I let him pick out all the spots that were bad. And now it's basically just a detail where I have my razor blades, and I just had it out. What the heck did I do with it? Well, this CRS is getting bad. Oh, here it is. And the aqua green. And you damn sure don't want to use much of this. This is part number 05096 aqua green spot putty. This is good stuff, but very heavy. This probably weighs a pound. So if you smear this all over your airplane, it's going to be a pound. It's only for small pinholes. So I've been looking for my pilot. I seem to have lost my pilot. So that's why I say the CRS is getting out of control. But I have another one if I can't find him, so I'll just paint up another one. So I have this soft foam block. It's real soft. And we're using 600 sandpaper. And we'll cut this into strips. I know I got the other airplane I'm still working on. I put it underneath the bench. Plus I have the F5F Bearcat still working on. Plus I want to build a Perky for next year. As stated, there's just not enough time in the day to do all this crap. So soft block, use a soft side, and we're going to go over and address these spots. Basically, if you guys want to come in to this, I could start a chat. I mean, if you're interested in talking to me. I don't know why you'd be interested in talking to me, but whatever. So we'll address this one first. You said there was a flat here, so let me explain this to you. There's a flat spot here. Well, you don't want to sand this way to get rid of the flat spot. You want to go at an angle. So this is for that last 10%. So I'll add a little Windex. I don't need that on the wood. So now it's dark. Let me get a paper towel or some type of towel. It only took a few swipes to get rid of that flat spot, so kind of got to know when to stop sanding. Don't want to overdo it. Can't find a paper towel, so use a washcloth. That's the nice thing about being here, is I can grab a towel or a t-shirt or whatever and wipe up what I need to wipe up. Now in this light, I'm running a pretty good light overhead. I see a spot that John missed. And this is the focal point of your airplane, this nose area, so you want to make sure that it comes out nice. This is where it's handled by, I mean, this is fiberglass up here. But you want to make sure that there's no imperfections. So now there's a hard edge. Let's do this. There's a hard edge on this wingtip fillet. I can't remember if it's the top or the bottom. You just know I want to break that hard edge. It's the bottom. And there's one right here. I mean, doing this at your convenience, could you spend a little time on your video sanding blocks and how to make them and the sizes? Okay, Craig, first I'll answer your question. Superfill is for fillets and large areas, wherever you're going to have a concentration of, a big area. This was all super filled in. The canopy along here, the fillets are all super filled. All these spots are super filled. The green putty is for specks in the paint that are no bigger than the head of that. No bigger than that. You don't want to use it for filling much of anything except for that, just a little spot in there where if you mix up superfill and try to fill that, you'll be sanding the rest of the paint off. So no bigger than a BB, and you only want to fill the dent. You don't want it all over the place. It's a glazing or finishing putty. It's not for puttying, it's for paint imperfections. I hope that makes sense. Now, sanding blocks. Sanding blocks are real simple. I make sanding blocks all sizes, all shapes. This one here is about 3 inches wide and 4 inches long. And you just take a piece of 1/2 inch, 3 inches wide, 4 inches long, scrap piece, glue on a piece of 1/4 inch or whatever, so you got a T-bar, round the corners so that you don't dig in, and then put a piece of sticky back sandpaper on it, and then you can sand with it. It's kind of like sticky back paper on a pencil or whatever it takes to get the shape that you want. I mean, there's, Durablock has sanding blocks like this. Well, it's round. You say, well, what the hell would you use round for? Well, I can't use this on an airplane, but you can use this on a car where you have a contour. You stick the sandpaper on there and just roll it up in there. It's the same thing we're doing here, only you're using it on an airplane, so you got to do it in a smaller scale. So use a dowel or a piece of brass. Sanding blocks are an aid, just like I'm using this foam pad here as an aid to hold the paper flat, because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make everything flat. Now I have a problem right here in the tip, and I'll show you what I mean. Now I'm probably going to superfill that. That's kind of a, this was a mistake in the woodwork. This is not a mistake in the paint. And the mistake is that when I glued the blocks together, I didn't get them thick enough. so it's a little under the cap strip. So what happens is it left a small hoop there. I'm gonna get that out. I'll use superfill on that, because you certainly don't want a half a pound of putty out there. I addressed this today, but he told me to look at it again in this transition. So I'll look at it again, but I think I already got it. And the best way to tell whether you got it is not look at it, feel it. This is a real hard area right here because you got so many directions that this is turning. It's going down this way and out that way, plus it's going up. This is super compound, so I guess we'll do a few swipes there. But I'm going to go over this airplane and spend whatever it takes. I'm sure that my buddy Jim Lynch is watching this, and he knows exactly what I'm doing. Is in order to get that last 10% out of it, takes the longest amount of time. Because the thing is I can go over this and do all these spots and get them out, and then go over it again and find a dozen more. It depends how far you want to take it. There's no such thing as a perfect airplane, I can tell you that though. They say, you know, I built a 20-pointer. No, you didn't, because I can find a mistake somewhere, I'm sure. Just depends on how long I want to look for it. That got it. The hardest thing to do is going to be to address these little tiny areas where I'm going to have to make some sticks. I'll probably have to glue some sandpaper on some popsicle sticks to get these areas here. But whatever it takes is what it takes. I don't know what he was talking about here. I see. That might take some acryl. Better to sand it off than it is to add it, though, I can tell you that. Did that answer your question about sanding blocks? I mean, pretty simple. Whatever you need to make is what you make. Be very careful on these. Are open bays. You want to stay off the open bay, you know, off the rib. You know, you say, well, 600 is not going to do much. You can burn through silk span like it's nothing with 600, especially if it's wet. A low spot right there. I might address these low spots I got with some superfill. Unfortunately for me, I got a new batch out in the car. Get your superfill from Wick's Aircraft. It's only, I think it went up a little bit. I think it's $25 now for a quart. But it beats the heck out of $10 for 2 ounces. Fuel tank for this is in Kawasaki, Japan right now. It doesn't matter, we won't be needing that for a couple of months. Kawasaki shipping port is where the fuel tank's at. What I'm using for an airplane stand is a piano stand, electronic piano stand. I just put some foam noodles on it. If you remember, I was trying to teach myself how to play the piano, and that was a total bust. I don't have what it takes to play an instrument. But being a builder, I figure, well, I could do anything. Well, I can't make that. So I envy you guys who can play the piano, guitar, drums, whatever. My brother can play, he can play good. I can't play nothing. Play the radio. Any questions? This is the question and answer time. I don't know how to get that out of there. Remember that, like I said, that last 10% is what takes the most time. I built this airplane, you know, even just working an hour a night, I built it in a month. I've been finishing on it now for going on 6. I think instead of sanding on that, I'm going to add a little. Gotta be very careful adding back here, because one coat of paint can ruin this airplane. And we got a scalpel. Get a new blade on it. I need to go over all the hinge marks, clean those out. Like I say, the detailing. Attention to the details. Yes, sanding block question was answered. Which aircraft? And dropping these. Yes. Which aircraft is where and tell them that Stunt Hangar sent you. You asked for Scott. He'll fix you up. They know who I am. I mean, we buy lots of stuff from them. I love these. They're great. These scalpels are great unless you're cutting plywood or have to really push down on them, but boy, they're sharp. So I'm going to go through and there's so much to do here. I'm kind of skipping around because I want to keep it interesting for you. I don't want you to just see me sand, because sanding is boring. Now, in order to make these hinges work good, you have to pick them out. Craig Bisbeck, how do you paint under the canopy with a brush? Very hard to mask off inside the plastic. Red. Red or orange is the lightest color. How do I paint under the canopy? If you look, it's already painted under there. I painted it before I put the canopy on. This is the fiberglass for the cowl. This is already painted under there. So I painted the airplane first, cut the ledge, inset the canopy, and then taped off the windscreen, and then painted it, or primed it, and filled it in. Now when I go to paint this airplane, I'm going to have to tape all this off so that no paint can get inside there, including clear. Because if I let clear go in there, it'll fog the window. If I let white go in there, it'll smoke the window like white. So that'll be all sealed off inside here so that no paint can get inside. Does that make sense? No, I don't use a brush on anything. You hope that answered that question. You know, back in the day, you had guys that could do a brush paint job look just like a spray job. But I ain't one of them guys. I flew with a kid named Rob Gow, and he was a Canadian. Never have seen him again. Got to be. I've looked for him, and you know, figuring, well, maybe he's still flying. He was a good builder, and you can't believe how jealous I was the first time I saw a sprayed airplane. And it was his Pisces. It was nice. Because I didn't know. You know, you're a 12-year-old kid, you just don't know. I didn't know about fine line tape. I always wondered, how can them guys make those letters with such a nice crisp line? I figured, well, they're taping them off and maybe they're picking them or whatever. No, blue fine line tape. I didn't know there was special stuff for it. And that's basically what I try to do with you guys here on Stunt Hangers. I'm passing off stuff that I've learned over the 55 years. So if you have a question, I mean, there are no secrets. I know the guys that said they're trying to help or whatever, they're always hiding something. So we can't tell you. Well, shit. I'll tell you. What difference does it make? John and I were talking today about shop size. Because I took my laser cutter over to John's and left it. Because there's no room here for it. And he was talking about a guy that had a laser cutter 8 foot 4x8, you know. Where would you put it to be as big as a car? He said, well, some guy's got a shop 100 by 80 or 80 by 80 foot. Yeah, but the airplanes that come out of them are still shit. Because it takes the guy running the tool or building the airplane to make the airplane. So just because the guy has a big shop doesn't mean that the product's going to be any better coming out of there. So a guy building in the closet, like I am in the motel room, can do just as nice a job as a guy who has a big shop. So don't let the shop size discourage you. Just takes longer. You have to find a different way to do things. A lot of guys build on doors, hardwood doors, or ceiling tiles, or, you know, I've done it all. I built on on a desk, on an executive desk. It's the guy running the sandpaper. Trust me. And the sand, I wish I wish sanding was interesting, because that's where it's at. If I could teach you how to sand, what I know how to sand, after 55 years, your airplane would pick up in appearance 100%, but there's just no way that I can teach sanding online. We were at Brodax and I was going to do a class on sanding, but nobody's interested because it's the most boring thing on there. I find it very relaxing myself. And if you're going to be a good airplane builder, you better be a good sander. And not afraid to sit down and do it. Well, it looks like I got most of the hinges picked out here. That's the only bad thing with these hinges is the picking out and the finish of them. That's it. My first airplane was built on a green Sears workbench, steel workbench. And I can remember sitting in the garage with a double-edged razor blade inside the back half, the backbone of a matchbook, cutting out die crush parts of a gallows kit on a P-40. Over 55 years ago. And I never completed that. It was just too hard for a kid. The wood was like pine. Anyway, I did end up building one later on in life just to see if I could finish it, and I did. I mean, it was not a control line airplane. It was kind of just a project. But I wanted to make sure I could do it. Rubber power. If you're using my hinges and you're doing this job, this is where you could kill it, right here. You could kill the look by not being careful really quick. You want to clean these up, but you don't want to cut them so damn big that you're leaving a gap. So take your time. I sure wish I would have snapped to what the hell Ron was saying sooner. This will free these up too. These are the most freestyle hinge you can use, these. You taught me to sand. Oh, sand. It used to take me 6 hours to finish and sand a paint job. Now it takes me, yes, 2 to 3 times. It should be, if you sanded something in 6 hours, it'd take me, 6 hours one day and 6 hours the next, and you never get it finished until it's perfect. So I hope Craig, that the looks of your airplanes have improved. That's the most important thing. Did they improve? I need to go out in the car and get those blue paper towels. So I got paper towels in here instead of this. So I got all this detailing up here to do. I'll get you up close and personal for that. What's going on here? There we go. Okay, you wonder what's under that tape. What is under that tape? Well, John saw a spot, I don't know, that he wanted me to address right here. It's got a small low. I'm not sure I can sand that out. But you kind of got to evaluate. Is it worth sanding? Or do I have to fill? Or what? So I'll just work on this, rub on this a little bit. That's pretty good right there. Had to beat that canopy into submission to get it down in there right. This canopy was high. I took a block, half-inch piece of balsa wood and stuck it up there and wham with a ball-peen hammer and pounded it down. I do not sell hinges. I sold a few sets of them. They just take way too much to make, too much time to make. I'll be happy to send you the file. I think it was $5 for the file to laser cut them, but you can make them yourself. Or the guy on Stunt Hangar down in the vendor's corner, he used to cut mine with a pin router. You know, I don't want to get into the file making and hinge making, but I found with motorcycles that, you know, I did motorcycles for years and years and years for personal gain, you know, my personal self. And then when I became a professional, you know, mechanic, man, I hated it. So I love building model airplanes. I don't want to get into kit building. I've built a few airplanes for people. As long as it doesn't get too overwhelming, and I'm not going to build hundreds of airplanes for people. You'd be surprised how many of my airplanes you're flying against. Well, not so much anymore. They're out there. You wonder what was I doing there with my hand? I'm blocking the light. I'm candling it to try to see the shadow on there. You can see better with your fingers than you can with your eyes. Now I made a mistake on my small tucker, or that this line right here was not sanded straight. And it looked okay when I painted it, but after the gloss got on there and you stood at certain angles, you could tell. Well, I made damn sure that this body line is straight on this one because I don't want that to happen again. When you get good at sanding, you'll never look at another car the same. Because I see all kind of mistakes in cars. All kinds. So, let's see, what was John talking about here? Can get the tape up. Okay, let's see here. There must be a flat or something there. Put a new piece of sandpaper on this. Let's get a little skookum on there. I've already made up my mind this is going to have exhaust stacks and smoke on it, just like my Thunderbolt did. This will be a Tucker in the modern version. It'll look like a race car or race plane or whatever, with all the panel lines, all the detail, the smoke, the sponsorship stickers and all that crap. What did I do with that? CRS has kicked in. There it is. Now I have some sanding sticks I think I'm going to have to use to address these small spots that John's talking about. Yeah, we got that. Now, when you're doing fillets, when you use your finger and you put the fillet in, it leaves a transition line between the hard material and the wood or the wing. That's why you don't want to put fillets in until after it's silk span. Everything needs to be silk span, the fuselage and the wing. Then put the fillets in, because that hardens up the wood. If you don't, you'll dig a big groove in there when you're sanding. And I use polywogs or rubber things like this. They're soft. Put the paper around them and sand them in. Sand that fillet in. Then the trick is to blend that line, that transition line, into the wing. And if you look right here, you can see that the transition line shows in the white right there. But that's okay, because that's paint. That's not the transition line, that's just the paint. It's just where the sanding was. So let's see if we can get that out of there. Like I say, the last 10% is the hardest. Okay. Now Wendy did all his detail work like this in silver. Do not use silver. It has poor adhesion. It's real metal. It's very heavy. Silver is ground aluminum. Paint doesn't stick to it. It doesn't stick to the substrate. People say, I have never had a problem. Yeah, you will, though. About the time you think that you won't. Wendy is a motorcycle car painter. He can, just laying the paint on. If you want a 6-7 ounce finish, you're not going to be using silver. Silver is heavy, poor adhesion. I don't even think it shows up I think the lightest, the biggest improvement we made on my finishing system is bringing the color up from the base with tinted clear. Tinted in the color that I'm going to spray. So basically this is a tinted paint job. It's not a white paint job, it's tinted clear. Very little primer. Only primer here and on the tips. I didn't go hog crazy. The nice thing about using primers, you can see where you're sanding. And that's the biggest advantage for primer. But the biggest disadvantage for primer, man, is it heavy. Clear dope. Ron O'Toole used to tell me that clear dope, leave that part. That's all right, it'll be fine. No, he was right. Another place that I looked at as a appearance judge is fit of the cap strips. And do not bow them cap strips in there. You'll warp your wing so bad you can't believe it. But hopefully we'll debut this airplane the next nat, if I make it that far. Never know. If you're not a supporter of Stunt Hangar, go to that link and hit the support button line. Costs a lot of money to run Stunt Hangar. I'm going to be doing another Christmas giveaway. The shipping on it will probably, just the shipping will be $100. So when you're sanding open base, stay off the cap strip. You'll, like I said, you can go through the silk span in a heartbeat with 600. When you go down the cap strip, just 1, 2 swipes, and that's it. You do that every sand out. It'll be good. I need to do this to the bottom because remember the bottom's got to look the same as the top. Thank you, Jim Lynch. The bottom has to look as good as the top. I used to just make them presentable on the bottom. And now they're equally finished. Let me show you something about equally finished, so you get an idea what I'm talking about. Let's see if I can find a driver. Equally finished on my airplanes, top, bottom, inside and out. That's exactly what I mean. So, when you're building a cowl, and you're sanding it out, and if I ever see you at the Nats and you have your airplane upside down, it better look just as nice on the inside as it does on the outside. It's all nice and smooth and evenly finished on the inside. This cowl weighs 3/4 of an ounce. And the only way you can do that is by hogging it out and getting it finished nice inside. And yes, I will go overboard and even putty. There's a little spot right here. When I start superfill, I'll put some superfill in that and finish that. And when I spray that inside, it'll look just like the outside. And people say, well, nobody sees that. I do. Every time I take it off. Why would I want it to look like crap? And all my airplanes are built that way, inside and out. You can't make it any lighter than that way. I'm going to go over, I won't do this on camera, but I'm going to go over and take CA before I put the fiberglass on the outside of this, and I'm going to harden up all these edges with thin CA around the that way when I put the glass on it won't change the shape of anything. And I know what this is going to take, so I'm not going to monkey with that right now because that's going to take some green, aqua green, so's that. Gonna look at those spots back there maybe. I wish this airplane was finished right now, but it's not. It's 54 ounces. And I gotta be very careful because those mystery ounces can sneak up on you. Okay, let's put a little aqua green in that. I'll show you what I do there. Okay. I've shown this a dozen times, but teaching is reminding, learning is remembering. Okay, I put aqua green on my little rubber thing so I can clean it off good. I'm using a razor blade as the trowel. There's a spot right there, and this is how much aqua green you're allowed to use in a spot. That's it. You don't, I mean, if that's 10 thousandths thick, all aqua green does is take the wingspan of this, 59 inches. I think, maybe it's 60. That's all the aqua green you're allowed to use. You can't, you just can't add a ton of it on there. Wow, John missed them too. I'll get all this. Yep, gonna have to get that whole wing panel. This is gonna be several hours of sanding on this one. I missed this all together. I'm filling in a transition divot here, but 90% of this will be sanded off. So basically what aqua green is thick primer. Okay, let's look under here and see if it needs any acryl here. No, it needs sanding. Needs sanding, doesn't need any putty, so we'll put this down and go back to sanding. Now what did I do with the block? Okie dokie. Any questions? This, when you're looking at it, like I'm standing in a light, candling it here, you can see a bunch of shining spots on it. You don't want that. You want the whole thing flat. There's the block. So now I gotta put some skookum on this here. Craig, you didn't answer me. Are your airplanes improving now that you're sanding more? Are you competitive with the other guys in your area? Sanding is an art. Like I say, this last 10% is going to take the time. to get all these little. That way when I hand it to Jim Lynn, she's not gonna, what are we gonna do about that? Nothing. Because it won't be there. I know you hear me, Jim. What are we gonna do about that? Nothing. Because it won't be there. You guys gotta know who I'm talking about. This guy, him and Charlie Reeves were appearance judges at the Nats, and they are by far top-notch finishers from the old school. I think Jim's, I don't know, 70-something. Charlie may be 80, I don't know. But these guys are craftsmen. And I brought my S6B Supermarine to the Nats one year, and he only gave me 16 points or whatever, and I thought it was beautiful because it had spray shine on it. It looked great. He tells the story. I come knocking on his door at the, what the heck, why did you do this? And you gotta picture this. Jim weighs 4 times as much as I do. This guy is big. I didn't care. I wanted to know what the hell was wrong, and he turned my airplane over and said, this is not finished as good as the top, downgrade. And so ever since then, the bottom gets finished just as good as the top. I didn't know. Because in actuality, the rule book says the models will be judged 10 foot away. And the way they do it now, if you got spray shine, you got 20 points, and that ain't right. Should look like a baby grand piano when it's done. And trust me, I could tell the difference between a dope finish and a spray shine finish in a heartbeat. The guy who does a good dope finish has 10 times the work than a guy who sprayed the shine on. Perfect example. That airplane right there is dope. There's no spray shine on it, and it looks every bit as good as a spray shine. But man, is there work in that baby. That's the airplane I might have been able to capture the concourse with, but it doesn't fly as good as my other one, so I took the good flying one. What we got going on here? Just don't want to act right. Come on. There we go. Alright, so we got an hour in. I want to thank you guys for wasting an hour with me. Babbling on, sanding. I'll be sanding for the next week or two, or whatever. We'll go back to the other airplane under the bench, get the wing put together and fuselage, and by the time I get that one put together, maybe I'll get 2 of them ready to spray, because John's kitchen is a disaster. His airplane needs to be finished, as you saw in the video earlier this morning. I'll do the same thing for him, go around and pick out all the spots that I see, and he can go fix the spots. And then we'll spray them this winter, I hope. So like, subscribe, share the videos. Please, if you can, be a supporter of Stunt Hangar on Stunt Hangar. Get a support badge. And until I see you again, fair winds, tight lines. See ya.